Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con. We're coming to you with more Company of Heroes 2 1v1 action. I saw this map and I thought to myself, I have to cast this battle. This is Semoskiy Winter, the original map back in Company of Heroes 1 with the added bonus of being able to drown your tanks and troops on most of this map. Fighting over here on the western side though, coming up with the blue-trunked OKW forces, it is Von Asten. His opponent over here in the east, it is the United States forces at Pappy O'Daniel. Both of these guys bringing a triad of very, very expected commanders. In the case of the USF, we have, of course, Heavy Cav Company, we have Airborne Company, and we have Armored Company. This is probably the most unlikely one of the three, and even then, well, you know, it's still fairly consistent. For Von Asten, of course, he's got a Special Operations Doctrine, Scavenge Doctrine, and Fortifications Doctrine. Telling you guys those out of order, but you know what? I figure you guys are big boys and big girls, should be able to figure it out. We're all good. In the meantime, though, we're already seeing Strong Pioneers taking out this garrison right here and pushing in, trying to get some fire onto these riflemen. And in this garrison right here is a super strong position. You have 4 windows on the end of this house. And with these lonely semi-automatic rifles to face them, they're going to do pretty well, I would say, against that. Now, the problem with that, though, is that it allows these rear echelons to dive down here and pick up what is usually a German expansion resource point. You can see right now, Volksgrenadiers are moving on in to fight that off as quickly as possible. What looks like Pappy all he's going to do is just throw down some wire, maybe dive into this garrison real quick. And yep, there we go. So no real surprises there. Both players really just trying to do the denial game for the time being. While a Kubelwagen slides down to the south and maybe put some fire onto this house. I don't know if he really should. There's not a whole lot of you know, observational opportunities there. But you know, he's maybe just going to sit there and camp and capture. So that'd be pretty good right there as well. But as a rifleman squad comes on in, yep, there go the Volksgrenadiers. They're going to back away slowly. In the meantime, Strike Pioneers are actually taking away Pappy O'Daniel's resources. He's got nothing left at the moment. He's looking to take this northern fuel, but that's not going to do him any good, I don't think. I don't think this taps in at all. Let's take a quick look. No, it's just shy because of this lovely little point up here. This is one of the fewer maps, or one of the few maps where these kind of corner positions are extremely vital for getting your fuel into supply. Riflemen. Okay, so Storm Pioneers again, just trying to hold out and put some very, very annoying fire onto these riflemen. With Pappy opening up with a triple rifleman, he's definitely trying to reattach this fuel point, but I don't know how easily that's going to be. With the Germans, I would hopefully say contesting this strat point, but for the time being, oh no, here comes the Kubelwagen, trying to put that back into German hands. And looks like Pappy's going to play meta US. He's got a Trip Rifleman with a mortar coming out, and Von Asten going instead with Volksgrenadiers galore. And maybe to picking up this fuel point, I believe so. Meanwhile, in the center part of town, Volksgrenadiers are going to start pressuring these riflemen in turn. Surprisingly that the Strompios have been able to sit into this house for so long, I imagine that's going to change rather quickly as this mortar team gets ready to put fire on them. In the meantime, we're going to see, yep, some sandbags out of Van Asten's Volksgrenadiers here. And Riflemen, okay, well, Riflemen have not been able, oh no, they have been able to get that fuel back into supply. So excellent, excellent thing for them there. And this Kubelwagen is doing some good damage against these Riflemen down here to the south, picking off a model or two, being very, very irritating. You can just slide forward to pick that up. With rear echelons here, not very healthy. I would say that this Kubelwagen should be able to fight them off super, super quickly. Even with, oh, never mind, Rifleman coming in behind, this could be enough to force them back and encourage him to back away. Mortar team, in the meantime, taking some firepower and going to be taking more of it from the Storm Pioneers. If the Storm Pioneers had just stopped and poured fire on them, I'm sure they could have taken out a model, but no. Instead, Von Asten is just dominating the map, starving the Americans out of every last bit of resources, but not enough to starve them from that first officer selection. And that will be a captain moving into the still early part of the game. The Americans do control a single VP, which is making things a little bit irritating for the Germans, I would imagine. Losing a couple of tickets here or there, ruining that perfect game. But I guess he's not going to be too insulted by that. Pappy O'Daniel is trying to get his riflemen far enough away so that way they don't get picked off on retreat, but I don't know how easy that's going to be. Running across the ice, sliding away, and can these guys pick him up? I don't know, but we will see. Mortar team dropping rounds on top of this house. It's time for the Sturmpayos to book it, I would politely suggest. Now, I had not mentioned this, but Von Asten has teched into a battle group company. Battle group headquarters, excuse me. I don't know if he's got those medics out just yet, but nope, he hasn't. It's not even fully up yet. Oof. But he's going to be needing to use them pretty quickly. These Volksgrenadiers getting carved to pieces, out in negative cover, just getting shredded. But not all things are coming up well for the Americans, as this point's going to drop into German hands. Probably going to see a model or two drop from this rifleman squad. Oh, I didn't even see the mine go down either, so there's that first blood to the Germans, taking out an entire rifleman squad. And actually, that was probably one of the few really kind of vetted up squads that he had. Captain, in the meantime, has hit the field with that Zook, and really this overload of riflemen right here. I can't see the Germans being able to hold on to this position too easily. But with that battle group headquarters and now in play, we're going to see an AA half-track. It could be kind of an interesting call. In the north, Volksgrenadiers throw back the riflemen in a bloody, bloody mess. But the Germans are falling back as well. At some point, I kind of want to see someone run a squad into a garrison and have their own mortar accidentally take it out. That, to me, would not be hysterical per se. I mean, at least, as long as I'm not playing with that guy, I think I probably would laugh pretty hard. But, you know, friendly fire isn't. One thing I'm surprised to see is it's been not a lot of emphasis placed around this church. Usually you see just crazy amounts of pressure on that church. And instead we're just going to see the Germans kind of calmly ignoring it. A lot of Germans are back in base. Medics have been picked up in the meantime. And where's that MG? I saw an MG getting made by the Germans. Here it comes now. Now, if you can get this MG either in here or here, here would be probably ideal for it. Obviously not perfect, but it could be fairly ideal. And Captain's going to try to take this house. I would say the Germans just going to chuck an incendiary grenade instantly into that building. MG-34 in the meantime carving and suppressing a great deal of that rifleman push to the south. Captain going to do some damage and forcing back the Volksgrenadiers, and it looks like the Americans are trying to take back fuel points on both sides of the map, decapping the north, and probably going to do a pretty good job of decapping the south. I don't know if this MG is going to get them suppressed and definitely not pinned in time. And something that's just happened that I rarely ever see happen, a machine gun crew actually picking off a target on the run. That just boggles my mind. I didn't even know that could happen. Volksgrenadiers throwing out an incendiary grenade and forcing back these riflemen, but it's not going to be easy for them, and indeed they get thrown back in disarray. Yikes. In the meantime, Sturm Pioneer is going to come down and force back the captain, and Pappy O'Daniel, despite holding on to 2 VPs right now, he's not been doing particularly well. In the meantime, Kubelvog is sliding up to the north, picking that up, and Von Asten was going to call a flak half-track in, decides against it, and yikes, these poor machine gun crew. Oh, okay, but you know what? There they are. The Sturm Pioneers are there to wreak bloody vengeance against them, and should probably do some more damage on retreat. STGs, use your STGs, my friends. You should be able to carve them up. That's a 2-star vet rifleman. You should be diving for that. Alright. But in the meantime, we will see riflemen are going to decap this position. This is the lifeline for a lot of German supply. It's not going to last them too long, mind you. Not with a couple of STGs and lots of K98s forcing them back. And indeed, you see almost immediately these riflemen are heading for the hills. And opportunistic Sturmpayos are able to push back a mortar team and do pretty well in their own right. I am shocked, really, at how aggressive Von Asten has been with his troops, and how successful he's been with it. Now, this could be a dead Kubelwagen. Whenever Pappy just wants to point and click, he's got it. Doesn't look like he's going to do it. It just looks like this Kubelwagen is going to sacrifice himself for the greater good. And any second now he's going to go down. There he goes. Destroyed engine. So it could be an American Kubelwagen if the U.S. wants to. And that'd be kind of amusing. I don't think I've ever seen a captured Kubelwagen. Now, where's that machine gun? Machine gun coming forward? No, Volksgrenadiers diving into this church. And it's the first time we've seen this church even being utilized throughout this match. And again, like I said, usually what you see is you see a giant, you know, scrum over this building and this building, as it controls the center position so much. Even with this graveyard right here as well. But no, in this one, this is the first time we've really seen a lot of action around this point. Of course, now we're going to see the mortar team shifting on up and probably throwing a couple of rounds down at that garrison. But von Asten does not seem particularly cowed by that. He can bring in, and is bringing in, an ISG. That'll do pretty darn well. Volksgrenadiers, in the meantime, down here in this house, getting not cut to ribbons. It seems a little bit harsh to say, but they're not particularly healthy. And in the meantime, an MG34 sliding up, and this is going to suppress this captain, which is super irritating. Oh, no, it's not. He's going to at least be able to do some health damage to these riflemen as they back away. And shockingly, we're seeing... Oh, no, he's just scavenging? Okay. So, interesting. That's pretty cool. Like I said, you rarely, if ever, see a Kubelwagen get a destroyed engine have even availability to be picked off or captured. And we're going to see just the Germans take the fuel from it and really turn a profit, I would say. As a reminder, look, 210, and he's going to get, what, 10 fuel from that? I believe. Let me check that again. Oh, I'm not sure if that's considered to be an abandoned vehicle or a wrecked one. Either way, he's at least 5 fuel up. Volksgrenadiers in the north are coming up against a couple of squads of riflemen who are really trying to push and finally take back this VP. But for the time being, the Germans have a very, very brief trip cap. And while the rear echelons to the south might put some good pressure onto these Volksgrenadiers, I would hazard a guess and say that the Germans are definitely in a very commanding position on this map, not the least of which because the entire center of the map is blue, and it's not because they are unhappy. Now, where's that ISG set up? Okay, so ISG is set up in a decent position. Not a great defensive position per se, but should be able to drop rounds on top of these Americans. And if he blows away part of that wall, it'd be even better for him, especially with this machine gun right here. He's got these guys enfilade. One more round coming on in. That could be... Okay, never mind. I always keep waiting for that money shot from an ISG. It could be glorious or it could be awful. Meanwhile, in the south, Volksgrenadiers are still dueling with these rear echelons, and it's kind of strange to watch rear echelons, especially with Zooks doing decently, not particularly well, but okay, never mind, they're getting cut to pieces now. Now it's just Zooks against STGs, and there's a free Zook on the ground. I wonder if the Germans are going to go after it. It would be a good idea. No, he's going to bolt. Alright, normally for me, I would say that's a free support weapon right there. And the Volksgrenadiers to the north are able to encourage both the captain and the rifleman attendants to leave. Meanwhile, MG34 in the south is doing a really, really good job. He's taking some mortar fire here and there, but a burst of fire should send these guys diving for cover. That's one. And that's two. Are they going to see them run off as well? Not yet. They won't. Indeed, this machine gun is getting its own pound of flesh carved from the squad, running away with one model and barely any health. There's a few pixels there. And now we're also going to see these riflemen come on down to pick up this bazooka. I'm really wondering why those Volksgrenadiers didn't pick up a free weapon when they had the chance. If anybody out there knows, I would be more than happy to hear that. Riflemen are going to go and decap away from the Germans, but the Germans have almost 300 fuel, so they can easily bring in their tier 4 structure and call in a fairly quick vehicle after that. 431 to 438. The Germans have not had a lead yet on this map. I suspect that's going to change fairly soon. Volksgrenadiers, in the meantime, they could be, let's say, encouraging both of these mortars to displace. Actually, we're going to see that happen? Well, we are. Yes, here come the STGs. And here comes the Avenging Angels that are... He even picked up a good incendiary grenade. A couple lucky, unlucky models for the Americans, but lucky for the Germans. seeing those guys hustle into the burning fire. And we're going to see, could we see a drop right now for that BAR? That'd be a great pickup. I don't know, but we will see the Sturm Pioneers getting a good walloping happen there. Mortars get back into the fight, displaced to the south. A soft retreat. I kind of assumed they would have been a little bit more hard than that, but no, a soft retreat. And von Asten's actually putting his Schwerpanzer headquarters way the heck up here. You almost never see this building up there. Then again, you never really see this kind of dominating map position that the Germans have entertained for such a long time. Interesting, by the way, even though the Americans hold the bottom munitions point and should be able to control this fuel point without too much more trouble. We're going to see another incendiary grenade, perhaps? We are not going to see the Americans really reaping the benefits of it. And there we go. So the numbers will tell in just a moment. Yep, there go the Volksgrenadiers. And now these rear echelons have no chance of even getting to this point right here. This is just going to dominate the entire hillside. And until the Americans have a much more committed piece... Oof! That poor, poor model. Committed piece of indirect fire, I don't think that's going to change in the very near future. Volksgrenadiers taking this point right now. We can see these rear echelons shifting on forwards. And I saw mortar fire coming down. Okay, they were looking for that machine gun crew. Unfortunately, picking up a model or two of the Volksgrenadiers instead. And I'm guessing these rear echelons think that they're safe. They're rushing on up here, and let's just watch how they're disabused of that notion any second now. 3, 2, 1, and open fire. No, they're not. That's shocking. Is there a little bit of a hill here that's preventing this? Not quite, but he knows it's up there now. Panzer IV is on the map, and with that Panzer IV, the Americans need to pee their pants a little bit because they're not going to be able. There we go. They're not going to be able to stand up to that metal beast. No, because they still haven't called in the major. Let me think about this for a second. What could they do to really kind of combat this? At best, go armor company, and that's what he does decide to do. We're going to see a M10 coming on in. That's not going to be enough, but that's pretty much all he's got the opportunity for right now. And there we go. And let's be very, very concerned about this poor guy. If the ice is blown off from underneath it, if it goes down, I don't think the Americans have any way of really getting into this. Sturm Pioneers chasing back this captain, and with the assistance of these Volksgrenadiers, we could see a retreating officer fairly quickly. Well, we will see the Germans pull back in the face of that BS tank crush that the Allies seem to do so well. And a pack howitzer coming out, so not content with 2 mortars already. Pappy O'Daniel apparently wants to go for a very, very heavy indirect fire presence on this map. Not sure I agree with this one, but we'll see what he decides to do. In the meantime, Panzer IV doing a little bit of redecorating on this map, taking out one garrison by himself, ramming the walls down. Might be able to do something similar with this other one. Being a force for revivification of the neighborhood. Now, this P4's got to watch out a little bit, though. This is still... Oh, no, I was going to say it's rear armor, but never mind. That machine gun does not point towards the back. Doing a little bit of damage there. But charging Volksgrenadiers, supporting that P4 will more than easily encourage that M10 to back off. We could see a dead mortar squad. 3, 2, 1. Yep, there they go. Even dropping a model in exchange, that is a good trade right there. At least decrewing that model, that squad for a little bit. Now, BAR riflemen are in the middle part of the field, and Pappy's got a couple of these squads, but he's been so starved for so long in terms of resources that the BARs have not been able to swing the battle back in his favor, and indeed, we will see von Asten bringing in another P4. So 20 minutes in, although the Americans had a light lead in the early part of this game, I believe that this map control pretty much tells you everything you need to know, and that it ain't pretty for the U.S. The Sol Sturmpio squad doing their duty and repairing this P4. In the meantime, riflemen in the south trying to cap under fire. I imagine another round or two. It's going to be quite devastating. Unfortunately for them, and unfortunately for the Germans, it's not happening quite yet. Sturmpire is charging on forwards, and deciding it's probably better to be a little more discreet. And this church, which had been so pristine for so long, 20 minutes in, almost looks ready to fall apart. In the south, in the meantime, looks like folks Grenadiers might be able to pick up that last model. Yes, they do. There goes another squad in favor of the Germans, and although he gets some damage on retreat between these two squads, might even drop a model or two, he's still heavily in the lead in terms of veterancy. I'm wondering, is he waiting for the second P4 to upgrade its machine gun? Yes, he is. The second that happens, he pretty much has a tank force that cannot be rivaled by the Americans right now, and despite the fact that he's losing tickets, I'm not particularly enthusiastic about the Allies' current position. Captain getting torn to pieces by the double tanks, the MBTs really not having a care in the world, and this sole M10 really needs to back away. One round goes into it. He needs to rely on his speed to get away, but he's not going to. He's under the gun right now. 2 rounds going in, throwing back at his pursuers. One more salvo would do it, and I don't think he's got the maneuverability to get away. Damaged engines, so he has been able to lure them across, at least a rifle grenade perhaps. Ooh, Pack Howitzer has been decrewed. M10 goes down, mortar goes down, another M10 gets called in. And the question for me is, are these riflemen trying to throw rounds, AT grenades into... Yep, they are. They're trying to throw them in. That's a curious decision. You might lose another squad in return. Good gosh. The American army just gets carved to shreds, leaving von Asten with an army that's almost 3 times the size of his opponents. Now, if I'm the Americans, how do I get back into this game? One definitely is by using this M10 to its effectiveness, and he does so, taking out 1 P4 right there. But he's further away from his next armored vehicle than the Germans are. The Kettenwerfer, in the meantime, helping out. Oof, these poor guys right here getting run on over. Even if he takes out this P4, it is not going to be enough. That's 1 death right there. We're going to see anything like a Faust? No, no Faust. Are we going to see an upgrade for a Faust or a Shrek? No, we're not going to see that either. But the Germans are still deliciously in the lead, I would say. Obersoldaten could be picking up these positions right here, but nope, not doing it yet. And the Kettenwerfer? Maybe use those guys to destroy these pieces. I don't really think it's really necessary to pick up either the Pack Howitzer nor the mortar. And just check this out. So this point right here has been basically a German position for most of the game. And that's just super surprising to me. Okay. These guys are trying to be cheeky, running on into salvage. Not being able to do so, unfortunately. See the Obersoldaten coming under a lot of firepower. Bundle grenade going out, not going to hit a whole lot. Maybe taking out a model. Yep, he does, but that's not going to be enough. In the meantime, I think these Sturmpires are just trying to be a stopgap measure until, yes, these other Volksgrenadiers coming on up, taking out the 81mm mortar. Yikes. And that thing is ridiculous. Look at that. Look at the way he just has 8 kills now. He left the last thing with 3. He just ran over 4 models in the span of a heartbeat. So wretchedly annoying to me. But you know what, the Germans are well in control of this map, and with an ISG that's just popping models like it's his job. There you go, yep, get out of the way, boys. Like it's his job, we have a 3rd P4 coming onto the map. And another Kettenwerfer? No, he decides against it. Maybe just deciding to repair and reinforce his troops instead. These guys, I guess, popped a medic pack before they left, medical supplies, rather. And take a look at this veterancy game. 1, 3, 5, 8, 11, 14, and what, 3 more 17? And over here we have barely double digits. While, of course, it doesn't seem to be the fair comparison using OKW with their 5-star rating system, only one of those squads now has picked up a 4th star. It would be fair to say the Germans have a ridiculous veterancy advantage in this game. Now, Pappy, again, is still desperate for fuel, desperate for income, and he's not really pressuring the correct side of the map. He's pressuring the lower side as opposed to going up, I would say. Incendiary grenade could take out this house. Heck, and frankly, I would rather use a Faust, though, myself. Slow this guy down a little bit more. Prevent that ridiculous amount of crush. And maybe, just maybe, slow him down enough for the P4 to catch up to him and just wreck his day. Instead, we just see him running all over the place like a chicken with no head, and every single time he comes near, those Volksgrenadiers decide to retreat. Can't say I completely blame them. MG34 in the meantime under mortar fire, but doing some good work against these riflemen, at least pinning them. But he's got to back off before he gets taken out, and indeed he almost gets wrecked at that last moment. P4 coming in behind though, he's going to put some rounds into the... No, he's not. He's going to get away in time. Von Asten throughout all of this has not picked any commander. 26 minutes in, he is commanderless, and frankly, I don't think he needs to even use one to close this out. Now again, Volksgrenadiers could have stopped, turned around and blasted a hole through this mortar squad. In my mind, it would have been a good trade. Now, MG34, oh my gosh, they picked up that MG34 team. That's a shame, poor guys. But I don't think that's going to last. Indeed, these Sherman pilots could sit still and probably carve the last two models to pieces. One's down. Two's down. Three's down. There you go. So that's the last one there. Now, the captain could recrew it. I don't think that's a great idea. And indeed, that's not going to happen. Instead, we're going to see bundle grenade going off and both the Axis troops falling away in disarray. We're going to see another squad wipe here in a second, I can imagine. Yeah, Pappy, realizing that the game is set, is done and dusted, and he taps out exactly 27 minutes in, end score 398 to 207. Von Asten dominating this battle space. You usually don't quite see that on this map. I mean, the USF doesn't always have problems holding on to this position, but I think the early aggressive play and really the dominance of this garrison right here sealed the victory for Von Asten from about the second or third minute in. Regardless, a brilliant play by Von Asten, and while Pappy was trying to, get back into it, it was more like a terrier who couldn't quite fight that bigger dog. Whew! But a nice quick game. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Con Ulrich signing off. You all have a great day.